Welcome, everybody, to the Loud and Drunk podcast. This is Dan. Today, you can call me the Working Dan because we are celebrating Labor Day, that phony baloney holiday crammed down our throats by Fat Cat Union gangsters. With that in mind, Moses, everything that you do is laborious, even though it requires no labor. I'm going to ask you an Al Bundy question. What does Labor Day mean to you?
It doesn't mean a damn thing to me because I don't actually work, Dan. I enjoy everything I do.
Justin,
Hey,
we are celebrating Labor Day.
Yes, we are.
Figured it was a good time to share some work stories.
Oh, boy, I can definitely share a whole bunch of wild work stories. I'm so excited.
And I am Roscoe Tamzarian, and I've been a farmer in Australia for many years. And honestly, when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
All right, well, before we get started, it's time to pay the rent, gentlemen. Summer's almost over because it is Labor Day, but it's still the right time for stopping by TrueJersey.com. From t-shirts, hats, and hoodies, True Jersey will show off your local pride like no other. And now, Loud and Drunk listeners can save 10% off their first order. Just go to TrueJersey.com and enter the code LOUD at the checkout to save 10%. Thank you to True Jersey for sponsoring the program. True Jersey, stay true.
Is that the Isle of Jersey in England?
No, this is a New Jersey-based business.
Oh, there's a New Jersey.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah, much like there's a New Mexico.
Whoa. Let's save it for the podcast.
I also want to take this time to encourage you to subscribe to this podcast. We are on Spotify, Apple, Google, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. If you aren't subscribed to our YouTube and Rumble channels, you are missing out on the full Loud and Drunk experience. We are posting shorts that give you the visual on some of our best moments. So be sure to subscribe to our channels, smash that like button, leave us a comment, share this video with your friends, so you don't miss out on all of our content. We want you to be a part of the conversation, so join us on social media at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Make sure you are helping us out by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple and Facebook. If you like this podcast, then become a Loud and Drunk supporter. You can find us on Locals at loudanddrunk.locals.com and on Patreon at patreon.com/loudandrunk. You know, it's really hard to do that ad read when we also have a special guest. We have a nice we have a Furious George in the house.
Yeah.
And he is meowing incessantly while I was doing the ad reads, which is always nice.
There is a Furious George here. And he seems particularly furious today.
Yeah.
That's good because I thought I was the only one hearing it.
Yeah.
Well, that made the ad read a little bit more of a labor.
I don't know how you kept that together.
So, gentlemen, Labor Day is upon us. So I want to throw out a quick question to you, because Labor Day is usually the beginning of the end of the summer season for us in our locale. We tend to see a little less traffic. We tend to see, we get the so-called local summer, even though that's been pushed back to October now.
Pretty much, yeah.
What is your favorite part of Labor Day?
I don't have to work that day. That's my favorite part.
That's a good one.
That's one of those holidays they throw my way, so I'll take it. I don't know what it's about, but I'm into it.
If I reap benefits.
Yeah.
I will say that as a college football fan, I enjoy it because it is the beginning of the season proper. There's like a week 0 where like maybe you'll get like one good game.
Sure.
But most of the time it's like shitty games. Mm-hmm. For Labor Day weekend, you get essentially, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of at least one college football game. And sometimes on Sunday and Monday, they're actually pretty good. So
goddamn.
that's the best part for me. It's funny because when you're a kid in school, you're like, oh my God, this is like the end of days.
It's over.
Yeah. But when I was an adult, I'm like, well, those kids are the ones that have to go to school, and I just get to watch them play football.
Absolutely, yeah. As soon as I can stop caring about other people, that's always a delight for me.
It's usually as soon as I wake up.
It is a sign, though. It's like, the school buses are going to be out again. Now I got to deal with that fucking bullshit.
I forget about that these days. Sometimes it's like fucking 7 or 8 a.m. And there's just a shit ton of yellow buses out. And I remember that. Like the negative feeling comes rushing back to me as I'm stuck behind one. And it's different, but in many ways it's so the same.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You never
Terrible.
lose that vitriol.
No.
You know?
That is one of the benefits of working from home is you don't have to deal with that.
Fair play.
Yeah, wow. Just rub that right in my face.
Well, I mean, I don't do it every day now.
That's true.
Yeah, good old Labor Day. Does anybody know what it's actually about? Labor people?
It was
got rights or something?
I believe that, and Dan's going to correct me on this one because I'm sure that I'm wrong. But in some ways, I think that it was kind of a rebuttal to May Day celebrated in Soviet countries as a way of saying we're all about the workers and you capitalists are all about the capitalists,
Right,
you know,
right.
not the worker. And so this country basically adopted this way of saying like, no, we care about you as well. But not really. That's why this is just a bullshit holiday that no one knows the meaning of. Whereas, you know, like in Russia, for example, they're parading like tanks down the road.
All right, so we're on Wikipedia here, so take this with a tremendous grain of salt. Labor Day is a federal holiday in the United States celebrated on the first Monday in September. Meow. To honor and recognize the American labor movement and the works and contributions of laborers to the development and achievements of the United States. Meow.
We're just all doing it now.
Strap in, folks. This is going to be a wild one.
All right, so we could do this whole reading of the origins of labor.
That man has a mustache.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
Peter J. McGuire?
Is that? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm reading ahead of you.
Yeah, yes, you are. Well, then if you're reading ahead of me, then you enlighten us, Mr. Tamzarian, or whatever the hell your name is.
First of all, it is Tamzarian. Thank you for remembering it. And secondly, that's all I got.
All right, so it's supposed to be, again, a phony baloney holiday shoved down our throats by
Yeah.
fat cat union gangsters.
Cool.
No. I mean, I will say that, like, a day, we celebrate all sorts of days for people. Just, like, randomly, there's, like, Women's Day and fucking.
So it's a holiday, and, you do what you will with that.
Yeah. I think that you celebrate it by, I mean, honestly, it's like the celebration of it, which, I mean, I think I speak for everyone that you eat shitty food that you barbecue and get drunk, which is a proper.
Just another excuse.
It's,
Just
it's
another
an
holiday.
excuse, but it's also a proper celebration because that's kind of the essence of it. It's a celebration of people who work. And it's comical almost, like I'm thinking about it out loud right now, where it's like that you're celebrating the fact that the vast majority of people have to work for a living.
Right.
But there's some people who don't, and this is like these are the breadcrumbs that we got, you know, which kind of makes me wish that we had a May Day.
It was nice of them to think of us.
It was nice, absolutely.
I mean, not me, I don't work.
Listen, a day that I don't have to shine shoes is a good day.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, now that I think about it, it's typically like a barbecue weekend type deal.
Yeah. It's a
Nothing-
day off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Day off.
Everybody gets
Where I
one.
live, we're like in a beach community. We do a big bonfire on that evening. I guess like Sunday evening.
Oh, and that's the one on the beach.
That's one on the beach.
That's
yeah.
nice. I always enjoy that.
Yeah. So it's a good send off to summer. You know, the people going back to their. Oh
And that's-
my God, Furious
Yeah,
George.
Furious George is really going at it. He wants to be in on this podcast, and he is. There's no editing out these mews.
I will so enjoy going back and editing this podcast and realizing he's actually not even popping up on the
Right,
mic.
right,
and we're
right.
making a
Oh,
deal of it.
Wow. So it just seems like we're all insane.
Meow.
You'll
yeah.
get in here, buddy. You'll get in here. We're going to get you a mic in no time.
Well, yeah, I guess in my mind, I guess it's reminiscent from being a child, like you were saying before, you know. School starts this next week, end of summer as it's perceived. Yeah, I guess that's it. I don't really think about it too much now that I realize it.
Can I say how much it is bullshit that we have to push back like the local summer to a full month because, you know, after like COVID and all that stuff,
Right.
they, you know, extended out essentially the tourist season. So now if you actually want to go to the beach and like enjoy it, you're essentially waiting until October.
You're absolutely right.
And it used to be the Labor Day was the Labor Day weekend was the last weekend where you actually had to deal with tourists coming down. And now it's like, oh, nope, all of September, they're still coming.
Yeah, it used to be
fairness,
like a switch would flip,
Yeah.
and like there'd be no traffic anymore.
They're all working from home now, which means they're just not working.
After COVID, that definitely changed a lot of things because now people don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, go
they don't
back
have to be
to-
somewhere.
They can stay at the beach and work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then just move down here. Just
No,
become
Dan, don't talk crazy.
Half of them do.
Why would they want to live with us?
Come on. There's a bus line that goes straight to the city. It's not.
Who wants to ride a bus? We were just shitting on schools.
What am I supposed to do? Take a bus? You take a bus.
Well, I'll tell you what, the summer went incredibly fast, as it always does.
That it
Better
does.
or for worse.
I can't wait for it to be over. I hate this fucking warm weather. I want it to be fucking snowing out.
Well, I mean, that's why
It's not going to happen, but
It's never going to snow again.
I know, right? Yeah. Thank you. Fucking heat miser.
That's why if you're listening to us right now, hoodie season's on us, so stop by TrueJersey.com.
We've perfected the weather dominator, so it's going to get cold.
Weather
Cobra.
dominator. That's great. I love that. Oh, my God, Cat.
Yeah, he wants to be on the podcast.
He's very distracting. He's very distracting.
It's like Batman because he's coming from all directions. I can't find him.
The soundproofing that we have in here is acting in such a way that it reverberates his meows around us.
He's
So you
right
don't even know
above
where
us.
he is.
You know, it is
Game over, man. Game over.
You know, it is funny that we can hear him more than we can hear some of the videos that we react to.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
That ain't wrong.
So, in that spirit, you guys want to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
So, in the spirit of, plugging True Jersey, I think we had a few other sponsors, do we not?
I
I think our guest has one. I was supposed to have one, but then I forgot.
Yeah, I can come up with some real quick. But
We've got a special sponsor today. This is a one-episode sponsor, but nonetheless. Have you ever been the victim of unfair treatment? Has this ever happened to you? Well, never again. With Securicats, you can count on round-the-clock security. Be confident knowing that you've hired the only cat-owned, cat-run security agency that's 100% focused on your security. Securicats, for a better tomorrow. Yeah.
Is that a real company?
It is, yeah, it is.
Where are they based out of?
They're based out of Alabama.
I was gonna
I
say
do forget the town. I am sorry for that. I think that they operate throughout the state, but I'm not sure that they have like a steady city that they operate in because they're not able to actually rent buildings on account of being cats. Nonetheless, the security, as far as I understand it, is real. I used them for an apartment that I had up in Jersey City. We had cats trying to get in there, and they shut that down. They're very good at other cats, keeping them out of your premises, dogs as well. As far as people and break-ins and things like that, I'm not sure, but I think that they can do it. I'm confident in the business, and I hope that this doesn't cost us as far as the sponsorship goes. But
No, I have a question. Since they're based out of Alabama,
maybe I can answer this.
Are they Roll Tide or they fly War Eagle?
Wow. It's shocking that you asked this. I asked them this same question immediately. I'm actually very surprised by this. It's Roll Tide all day.
Oh, okay.
All day.
Yo,
I didn't hear the end of it. This was supposed to be like a 15-minute meeting with a couple of cats. And let me tell you, I was there for well over an hour, and most of it was just me listening and fumbling for the door. This is obviously in some sort of like a crackdown that they were, just kind of hanging out in. But nonetheless, yeah, it's Roll Tide, baby.
I'm going to have to get that information for that company after.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Honestly, I'm starting to think we might need it here.
It is certainly seeming to go that way.
This place is beginning to seem like a crack den for cats. Yeah. Throwing down the catnip bedding was a bad call, and I am willing to own up to that right now. But there's no going back. So
Well, how else would we know?
Yeah,
we know now.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you got to make mistakes to learn.
That's what life's about, baby.
Absolutely. Securicats.
Securicats. Thank you for being a sponsor.
Yeah, thank you. You're paying us in catnip. So this is probably going to repeat itself.
Yes.
In the spirit of Securicats, I suppose, let's tell some work stories. Who's got a story about being in the workforce and something either going terribly wrong or just something very interesting?
It's like, who's got a story? It's like, where do I even? How far back do I go? In high school, I got a job with this kind of traveling party company. The inflatable rides, slides. We did character work. And one of my first jobs, I was 16, and I had to dress up as SpongeBob SquarePants. And the way this costume worked was basically you wore like the legs, because he's got like little legs. And the SpongeBob part was this big PVC box you wore around your body that was on like the suspender system.
This sounds comfortable.
Oh, yeah, so comfortable.
Did it have fans inside it?
No.
Pretty cool. No. They're good. That's the good ones.
So basically, when you do character work, you basically have the person that's in the costume, and you have a handler that essentially shuffles you around because you can't see anything.
I immediately thought of like a fluffer, which goes to show you the terrible place that my mind is in routinely.
Where were you dressed up as SpongeBob?
So wait, this wasn't for a porno?
No, it's I can't tell you where
Why
I'm
is
at.
SpongeBob at the orgy?
This is what happens when you drink tequila at 11 a.m.
So this particular party, we get hired out. I mean, we do like events, festivals, stuff like that, but this was a private party in someone's house. So, like, you get there, they gave us like a bedroom for them to put me in.
So it is a porno then.
We're getting there, baby.
All right, sorry.
And this costume, so I'm like 5'11". This is a big PVC box around me, and it sits on a suspender system on my shoulders, so it's a full like 1.5 feet taller than me. So this is like a 7.5 foot tall costume. Well, I put the costume on, and I got to be led down this narrow hallway that I have to walk sideways down because I'm filling up the whole hallway. I'm knocking paintings off the wall and pictures and shit.
All the priceless vases.
Terrible. And then the worst part is then there's children. And children just want to punch, kick, assault any character or cartoon.
What's wrong with these children?
They're rich.
Oh my God! Yeah. On the note of Labor Day.
And oh God, this costume. So like your legs like stick out of the box, and there's like kids sticking their arms up like in like the leg like into the costume.
Jesus.
There's a tie on the front of it. They're hanging off the tie, so they're like pulling me over. And I don't want to fall on and kill a child at this shitty birthday party. Fucking terrible. Fuck costume work. It's the worst. I got paid good money doing that though.
Yeah, I believe as you should be. As you should be.
You didn't move up into the ranks and go to Times Square and do the same kind of work?
No,
He was the naked cowboy for several years, actually.
Listen,
He's wearing a T-shirt right now, so you can't see it.
I'm
but it's there.
Beely at best. I'm Beely at best. We used to work with...
He was the naked farmhand.
The naked farmhand, yeah. So we used to have these, like, 40, 50-foot gigantic, like, slides. They're on air gens and stuff like that to keep them inflated. And there's like our manager guy, it was this Mexican guy, gay guy. I can't remember what his name was, but he was fucking hilarious. I remember my first time we were, packing up the rides and you got to roll it up, fit it in the box truck. And it's like, you better roll this shit tighter than a dolphin's asshole.
Wow. Is that a thing? I never
Evidently.
thought about it.
I guess it's tight.
Yeah. It's tighter than the blowhole, I can tell you that. Yeah.
Well, that was my first job. Who's got another story before I go on to my next job?
I'm just curious about dolphin assholes right now. Yeah.
I'll never
Where
forget.
are they?
We'll save that
How
for
tight
another
are they?
podcast.
Yeah,
we'll have a
20-something
whole
years
one
ago.
about-
I still haven't forgotten it.
That's fair enough.
Let's
yeah.
please
I
save
believe
that for
yeah.
behind the paywall, maybe.
All right, fair enough.
Speaking of assholes, I was working in a warehouse, and there's truckers always coming up to pick up whatever or drop off whatever products. And it was a an uncomfortably warm day. And all of a sudden, wafting through the air was the smell of shit.
Oh.
Once that hit me, I saw somebody slip and fall.
No,
no.
Is going where I think it's going. I almost don't want to hear it.
Apparently, one of these truckers walked in, shit himself all the way to the bathroom.
No.
Nobody noticed it because it was like toward the front where there's not a whole lot of traffic, but one guy slipped. And yeah, it was terrible because it was
the day that I slip on someone else's shit is the day that I absolutely commit
it was so disgusting. Because then they open up all the bay doors and that breeze, that just wafting it back in, and it's not helping anything.
I'm so
Everybody's
upset.
like, "Who should?"
I'm
Like,
so upset.
Oh my God.
So we shut down for a little bit.
Yeah.
And
That's like a biohazard situation.
Yeah.
I was so gross.
People in hazmat suits just closing down the warehouse.
Bring in the cleanup team. My God.
Oh, man.
That's wild.
Wow.
That was a good day at work.
I'm sure.
Yeah. That's a...
Oh, no.
I want to get
Oh,
that out
no.
of my head as fast as
Yeah,
I
once
can.
this topic was brought up, that just dawned on me again, and I put it out of my mind for so
it was
long.
compartmentalized.
Well, thank you for
It's up
bringing
there
us
with the
into your
childhood
trauma.
It was-
Exactly.
It's like
hell.
fucking Inspector
Wow.
Gadget. A fucking dog jumps into the filing cabinet, pops it out. Oh, here's this memory. You wanted this, right?
I'm feeling like shame by proxy.
Yeah, it's like yeah, exactly. I'm like upset to be a human.
Right.
The best part is nobody knew which guy it was, which trucker it was. So
I mean,
like,
just like
I
shit
don't-
down his pant leg.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how do you not know?
Oh, I think
if
he
you
knew.
shit yourself, everyone knows. Like, that's just
oh, I think he knew because he beelined right for the bathroom.
yeah. What's the point then? What's the fucking point?
It was so much shit.
Like, what do you do after you do? You just light yourself on fire? Like,
You light that. You burn the pants. If he's wearing underwear, you burn that too.
They had showers there that nobody used because it was like a 9-to-5 job.
Right.
They had them installed maybe.
Well, they're for a
previous business.
hazmat situation,
Or maybe.
and this is that. Yeah.
So I guess
This
the
is
guy
that
just
scenario.
took a shower and put his
Washed his
clothes
shit
back
down
on?
the drain?
I don't know. Yeah. Hey, waffles all over that.
God. Oh, God.
Wow.
Terrible.
That was aggressive to my psyche. Like I'll need recovery. I feel like I have the trauma.
I may not recover from this.
All right, it's my last podcast.
Labor
guys.
Day.
I'm going back to Australia.
Thank you for coming on, Mr.
Yeah,
Tamzarian.
absolutely. That was great to be here.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
It's actually funny that you brought that up because I remember not this job, but the previous job that I had. When I went to go interview, I had to walk through the city, and multiple times I had to walk by human feces. Because in Manhattan, that becomes a problem because, homeless tend to shit on the street. And I was like, oh, this is something I have to contend with now. So I don't run into that situation where I step in shit and potentially slip on it.
God.
I think I might kill myself. I just say, like, I think that for the rest of my life, maybe I've got 30, 40, 50 years, and I think that I'm never going to be able to comfortably walk around any area again without like consciously. Normally it's like you're in somebody's yard and they've got a dog and you're looking out for dog shit.
Yes.
And now it's just the world.
It
It's
is
just
the world.
whole world. I need to like maintain that thought process.
Is that not how you were brought up? Thinking that like at any
there might
given
be
moment,
human
quicksand
shit everywhere?
was just
No.
going to pop upon you, and you're going to have to figure out your way.
No, it's not how I was brought up. And,
I'm always looking out for quicksand and now shit.
Yeah, it's like that. The quicksand thing is real. That's everywhere. I remember that.
I'm so worried about that in old cartoons.
Yeah,
That
absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny because you'll finally forget it, and that's the day that you get stuck.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
I've seen Blazing Saddles. I know what happens.
Mr. Tamzarian, you haven't told a work story yet.
I do have a work story. I have two. From the same establishment. I was working for a sunglass company. I guess just they sold sunglasses. The only one in the world, so you probably know what it is. But the two that I've got, we had two different types of people. We were working in a high-class mall in New Jersey. So you had two different types of people who came into that establishment. You had trophy wives and you had drug dealers from a neighboring city. And the ones that I liked dealing with were the drug dealers because they were just more real. The trophy wives were condescending and morons. So I'll lead with that one. And basically, these people were very condescending. They had their husband's black Centurion card, whatever the case may be. Yeah, they were rich people. It's a card with no limit, and it's like it's a rich person's card. You have to be making over $1 million a year to have one, as I found out. So these people would come in all the time, and this is like all my coworkers, like that, because you make commission. So this was the person that they wanted to deal with, and the gist of it is that they were just obnoxious in every way, as rich people can sometimes be.
Sometimes they tend to be that way.
Yeah, they're looking down on you because you're some fucking schlub working at this retail store in the mall. And so sometimes, even though I tried to avoid it, but if I was working by myself, there was nobody else to take on that slack, so I would have to deal with them. And over the period of time that I worked there, I got used to the questions. Because even though it wasn't their money and they didn't have a job and had presumably never worked in their lives, they nonetheless were concerned about the price of the exorbitantly expensive glasses that they were purchasing. And these are vanity. There's no prescription here. So this is just like, these are just sunglasses. You can buy them anywhere. You don't need to spend a lot of money. But we sold sunglasses starting at $500.
Yeah.
And they went way up from there.
Christ.
So yeah, Jesus Christ is right.
What sun are they blocking?
Yeah. So eventually, after all of this time of interacting with these questions along the lines of why are they so expensive, so on and so forth, one day I just was speaking to this one person who was the epitome epitome of like a spoiled housewife kind of persona. And I said to her, I was like, well, they're expensive because of where the glass comes from. And she was like, oh, okay. I'm listening. Go on. And obviously I just completely fell into this persona, and I was like, well, these are Versace glasses, and Versace, that they're based out of Italy. And she goes, yeah, of course. Of course I knew that. She had just no clue. She didn't know where she was, like she was floating through life, And I was like, they're based out of Italy. Are you familiar with the volcanoes that are active there? And she's like, yes, because people just say yes to you.
Of course,
they want to be in the know, So she's just saying yes to everything, and but she's like into it as well. And I was like, well, the volcanoes there. And I was like, well, those volcanoes, like over eons, the volcanic material that comes out of those, that gets buried. You've heard of like Pompeii and things like that, and like she's heard the name,
yeah, sure,
but she didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. But she's like into it, She wants to get in on the know. And I was like, well, Versace owns the rights to that mine.
Oh.
And so what they're doing is they're digging down into the earth. They're going down 6-7 miles. Just like this is not a thing. It's not a thing. And
this is the plot of the court.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they're digging up this volcanic material, which is just thousands of years old, and they're making that into the glass. And all of that labor that goes into it. I mean, these are Italian miners that have to go in there, risk their lives to make it. Absolutely handcrafted, and they have to go in there and they have to dig this shit up and make these glasses out of it. And Chanel, they have a different volcanic mine, and every one of these brands, Dolce & Gabbana, they own both the Dolce volcano and the Gabbana volcano. And that's where it comes from. And she's blown away. Oh. And basically, I continued, after I learned this experience, I continued to do this for the remainder of the time that I worked there. And the comical thing is that the glasses are made out of plastic.
Right.
And very clearly so. If you've ever worn glasses, then you know the difference between the sound of glass and plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so they're just fucking idiots. And that was the joke that I told to myself, because they bought them. And my favorite thing about that, though, is that when you tell a totally bullshit story like that the person is enthused by, that they were waiting to go and tell someone that they know.
Oh, yeah.
They
Absolutely.
So she went back to her bridge club or wherever the fuck she does, and she told 5 people, and they told 5 people. And now this lie is just floating around the world of like wealthy people living in like this fancy part of New Jersey. Oh. And I love that.
She had to tell all the ladies at the country club.
Yeah.
And that's why we have glass volcano lobbyists.
Absolutely, yeah. And also, be careful if you ever visit Dolce or Gabbana, because they're both very active today. And the other half of working there was the nice part, that the people who weren't trophy housewives who came in, they were drug dealers from neighboring cities. And my favorite of them was a gentleman who was a fat black guy, who always rolled at least 2 deep with bodyguards who did not speak, and they were clearly strapped. They had guns on them, and it was like a thing. They kind of like, it was visible, but you didn't say it because they wouldn't talk to you anyway. So it was like uncouth to acknowledge that. And he would always have at least 2 or 3, I assume, women of the night. And, and I can't speak to it because I didn't ask. But this gentleman, he wore a crown, like a golden crown medallion around his neck. It was on a chain. He didn't wear it on the top of his head. That would have been too much.
I was just thinking of Burger King.
That would have been too much, yeah. But he literally referred to himself as the Heroin King.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and that's a thing that he did, I guess. And when he came in, he would be like, he would walk in and like, I met him the one time and he had never seen me before. He had a good memory for faces, right? So he had been there before and he worked with a coworker of mine he was the only other person there who did not mind dealing with these drug dealers.
Right.
So I was the other guy. And I met him the one time. The second time that he came in, I was kind of like eyeballing him because I didn't really remember his face or anything, and his guys weren't in yet. So he walks in and he throws up his arms, shoulder height. And I'm like, and we're both just looking at each other and we're giving like a weird side eye from like 30 feet away, opposite ends of the store. And he goes, who is it? And I'm like, and I pause a little bit awkwardly, and he goes, it's the Heroin King. And he just shouts it. So like, so he's not even trying to keep this any type of a secret. And what was delightful about him is that he would just say, he was like, you buy my girls, or you help my girls with whatever they want to get. He had no budget. And I never like asked him, do you have the money or anything like that? But he would take it upon himself to show me his billfold, which was like a softball. They like, because he like rolls it. He has no wallet because he doesn't have a license. He doesn't have credit cards. He doesn't need to like keep shit, but he's just got this ball of money, which is a softball diameter of $100 bills. And he like
how
and
unwieldy? Where do you even keep
it was amazing. His pants were so fucking baggy though. So he just like, I don't know how it like kept together because there's no rubber band around it. It was like just by like the power of his mind almost.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he just like pulls it out and it's nicely kept somehow. And like it's been there for a while. I don't know what his deal was, but he would just like show it to me and I'd be like, that's a lot of money. And then he would kind of like fan it a little bit, you know. But this guy would give you like a $200 tip for doing nothing. And unlike the trophy wives who would, you know, bust my balls about the price and bullshit that like didn't matter to them, these girls were just happy to be getting free sunglasses from, I assume, their pimp.
Yeah.
You know? And it was always such a delightful interaction. I remember the one time he invited me to a party back at his house, and he was like, yo, man, he was like, you gotta come. He's like, I got girls there. I'm like, I know you do. and he's like, I really want you there. And I was like, I'm gonna think about it. And he's like, no, nigga, you ain't gonna think about it. He's like, you gotta come back. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, man, because this is getting really real.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm probably not gonna go because you're so scary to me. And he was cool about that.
Yeah.
But that was the highs and lows of that job. Yeah, which honestly, that kind of epitomizes the highs and lows of the various different jobs that I've worked. That was the bottom of it and the top, and yeah, I had fun.
Fucking wild.
I had fun.
Fucking wild.
The Heroin King, though, if you ever listen to this, I love you, buddy.
Miss you.
Mm-hmm.
Get you on here.
I hope you're still kicking around out there, doing what you do.
Well, that's one community guideline that's been obstructed.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not the kind of labor that America's trying to support, and it's not the kind of labor that YouTube is trying to support. But goddamn, they're doing something for America. Somebody's got to get them women out there and the drugs and all these things.
Oh, goodness. Justin, you had another one.
Yes. So the next phase of my life, I worked in a kitchen, which is, if you've ever done that, you know, is crazy as fuck. No actual particular stories, but I'll give you an all-around atmospheric. The chef I worked under was a cool dude, mean as fuck, alcoholic, smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day while like cooking your fancy pasta dinner and like ashing in it. I was a kid. You know, I was like, 17, 18, and never cooked before in my life. I was front end. He's like, he came and got me one day. He says, you work in the kitchen now. I'm like, okay. He would chuck bottles of pop-off vodka at me. He would throw pans at me. If I like overcooked like the chicken darker than he wanted it, he would throw the chicken at me.
I know you can't say it, but I'm assuming this is Gordon Ramsay.
I was just about to ask that question. Is this Gordon Ramsay?
If Gordon Ramsay was German.
Oh, man.
That
sounds way more difficult, actually. Yeah.
And yeah, so when I went to the back, we hired somebody whom we all know, but I will not name, to work the front end. He has Tourette's to a degree. So at our tables, we had these oil lamps that you would have to light because, I don't know.
For ambiance.
Ambiance.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a whole thing. You're not even using a lighter, you're using matches. He lit a wood match and threw it in some lady's blouse, caught her blouse on fire.
That's awesome.
He was bussing wine glasses off. Not really bussing. The customers were still there, but taking wine glasses. And he had the gift of gab, and he'd be bullshitting, bullshitting. And I guess he had one of his ticks and crushed the wine glass in his hand over some lady's fucking head.
That's great.
Restaurants are a nightmare.
Yeah.
Fucking nightmare.
Yeah. That's hard fucking work, not for nothing.
Well, I mean,
that's legit.
Yeah, it worked every day. The restaurant was open every day but Monday, so I worked every day but Monday. Like, you go in the early afternoon to prep food, and then we ran service till like 10:30 at night, and then you got to clean up the kitchen afterwards.
That's like fucking an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes.
I would get home at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then foolishly go to, I would sleep for like 2 hours, wake up at 8 o'clock, and then go to college for the morning, and then went straight from college back to the restaurant. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that.
No.
The food service is so fucking fickle.
Well, I mean, because you're dealing with people, and people are so, and like, this was a reservation-only place, so it's like, these are people, it's like, this is our Wednesday dinner spot, so you're dealing with the same fucking people all the time, and it's always there.
And the food isn't, if you make the same dish, even in your home, if you make the same dish 100 times, it's not going to be the same 100 times. It's going to be different. And that's the nature of the food service industry. It's that people want it to be hyper-consistent.
Yeah.
And it's kind of impossible to do unless you're fast food. On the one hand, people don't want fast food because it's too much the same all the time. It's shitty and blah, blah, blah. They want something that you make for them, but they don't want they want the human touch, but they don't want the humanity in it. And that's the bullshit part of it. It's impossible to achieve both goals.
Well, it's funny because, like, when you're in restaurants, like you're dealing with purveyors to get your food and stuff like that. And a lot of times their food changes.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know,
and that goes back to the nature of farming.
Yeah.
You don't always get the exact same avocado.
No.
You're dealing with a living thing, and you need to be, to a degree, accepting of that, but people aren't. They want it to always be the same.
Yes. This is my favorite
McDonald's
thing.
sets the standard, and yet they don't want McDonald's food.
Right.
You know?
And another thing about this restaurant, it was like one of those, like I said, it's reservation only. It's always the same people. So, like, they think they're like part of the family. So they come back to the kitchen to bullshit with the chef and stuff that. And it's just like constantly being harassed by customers in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's aggressive.
It's like,
I get drunk at the bar and make myself a little too friendly, but I'm not wandering back there to chill with the Mexicans,
like,
I want
holy
to.
shit.
I want to, but I stop myself. I get 10 feet from my bar stool and I begin to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. I remember there was one night, so basically kitchens get hot as fuck, and you have like venting systems to try to pump out, a lot of the hot air above like your cooktops and stuff like that. And you usually have a door open with fans trying to shove.
Get the sweat out of there.
And I remember our evac system died one night, and it got up to like 120-something degrees in the fucking kitchen. And you're just chugging water. You're running around trying to cook.
Cooking in
throwing
Saudi
up
Arabia.
in a garbage can. Like, because you just want to fucking die.
Yeah.
That reminds me, when I was working as an electrician, some of our units used to be, we would recommend you got to keep these things in rooms with a temperature of 68 degrees. You have to, because these batteries will explode if you have them in like temperatures that are like too much.
Yeah.
And there was one place, I won't name it, but it's a transportation hub. And we were working on that unit there, and it was so hot in that freaking room that we had to take turns like going in and out. And it was like summer, and it was still it was still cooler outside the room. It had to have been over 100 degrees in there. And we were like, what are you doing? These batteries they're sweating profusely. They're going to explode. And have you ever seen, or at least seen the remnants of a battery that's exploded? First of all, if you walk into a room, they're like car batteries. It smells like rotten eggs.
Yeah.
Because
the sulfur in them.
Yeah,
right?
because of the sulfur and the acid in them.
Yeah.
And like, nobody should be in this room right now.
Yeah.
And then you have to go in there what was the problem? Well, clearly a battery exploded.
I'm picturing you like with three other people like you, and it's like Chinese miners who are just like going in and out of this like fucking shaft. You're like down to your tighty whities, and it's just a downtrodden situation. You've already written letters to your wives.
I'm Walter White cooking meth.
Yeah, basically.
There's a parakeet that comes flying.
Absolutely. Yeah, the birds left an hour ago.
For a few of those, you definitely did. You needed a canary in the coal mine when we were in the Navy, because there were a few spaces there where like if you go down there and whatever alarm is going off, like you're dead. There's that's it.
It's fairly resolute.
Yeah.
Why even have the alarm if there's nobody to hear it?
Well, because you did have time, but if like you were stuck in one of those spaces down like the 7th deck, which is like at the bottom of the ship, you have to climb up the 7 decks just to get to a place where you're like, all right, now I can actually start moving around. Those things were hazardous as shit. Because they would just have like this metal grate if you fell to catch you. Like, well, that seems counterproductive.
I love that. Oh, man, it's classic American military.
But it's also better than falling from multiple stories onto concrete.
Oh, that's fair, yeah.
But it's still.
I guess the metal grate has more give.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of an arbitrary give, but
oh no, that was. And then there was also one time when we were one of the few times I actually went underway and had a port. What we had to do is for this particular port, we had to put up this thing called friendship lights, which are just
that sounds fun.
I remember that from Independence Day. They did that for the aliens when they arrived. It was called the Welcome Wagon Day.
Yeah, the Welcome Wagon.
Well, if it was done right, the aliens would have to have put up the friendship lights because they needed
man. Spoiler alert, they did not.
They did not do that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the friendship lights in that movie was blowing up the White House, though.
That's true. Honestly, that was nice.
Fair play.
Yeah.
before any of us could actually go out on Liberty to see, this port, we had to put up these fucking lights. And now we have to figure out how to do it. People have to go up to like Vulture's Row to like tie them down. Meanwhile, you're just the one time where it was like kind of traditional Navy. We're like heaving, we're like pulling line, and
they're singing songs together.
We were not singing songs. I can assure you, we were not singing songs.
The deck. That's Navy for floor.
And the cabling was kind of made out of like fiberglass.
Of course.
So,
surprised it just wasn't straight asbestos.
Yeah. Right. And I'm pulling this, and at one point, I don't remember exactly when this was happening, but it was like, multiple hours have passed by. We still haven't gotten this done, and everyone's tired, and they just want to go out into town and drink. I noticed, I wasn't wearing gloves because nobody gave me any gloves. I'm just trying to pull this.
I can't afford them. They only have a budget of $3 trillion.
Well, that's definitely not going to the E3 or E4s.
How much of that is the glove budget?
And so since I wasn't wearing gloves, at one point, a portion of the fiberglass wiring was in my hand.
No.
And
that's brutal.
Yeah, I was just, I was like, why does my hand hurt? And then all of a sudden I look down and I'm like, oh shit, it's not even like a little cut or anything like that. It's in my freaking hand.
Fiberglass splinters are horrible.
Yeah.
Fucking horrible. Like even worse than the fucking like the metal shaving splinters you can get. Those nasty
This is the
stuff.
perfect note to talk about our next sponsor, the Navy.
Oh, then I should take this.
Dan, you've got the helm.
If somebody wrote a book about your life, would anybody read it? Yeah!
Moses, you got any more shit stories?
I'm done with that. I finally got that out of my mind. Thank you, Justin.
There was this one time. It's not a work story. We were just out shopping, and some old man shit his pants, and he's running around the place.
Stories do you have? I've never experienced this. Why is this only happening to you?
I don't know. But he's running around I forget what it was called. It was like
a supermarket?
It wasn't one of them food libraries. It was
The food library.
Food libraries.
but
it's called a grocery store, you douchebag!
But the old man was just like running around screaming for his wife. And he's screaming, and I did it in my pants again.
Oh, no.
It's like, it was really sad, but it smelled so terrible.
Oh, my God. Of course it fucking did. I didn't expect you to say that it smelled like roses.
Well, this other time. No, that's a fertilizer story.
Just shove me off a cliff.
Yeah, I'm ready to die right now. I am done.
Going on that, there was when I was in the Navy, there were a number of people who just absolutely refused to wash their ass. Like they stunk to high.
Why?
I have no idea. There's like
Did they offer a reason?
No, traditionally they wouldn't, or they would just say something like, "Oh, what does it matter?" It's like because we all have to live with you in this compartment.
What does it matter? That's I'm go on because I'm so bewildered. I need time to process my own thoughts.
And so they would stink up like the entire your living quarters. Was called a berthing, and they would stink up the entire thing. And on aircraft carriers too, berthings are not small. Now you're stacked up on essentially bunk beds out of 3. But I would be on the opposite side, and I'd be like, well, somebody didn't wash their ass for the last few weeks.
I don't I want to. I'm going. All right. I'm sorry. I'm really fumbling with this one. Wild animals clean themselves.
Yes.
Animals that live in the forest clean their asses.
Yes.
For a variety of reasons. These humans,
Yeah.
who are members of our military,
Yes.
decided unilaterally that was a thing that just didn't need to be done.
And not in the forest.
You know what it is? It's shut the fuck up. It's not even that they made that decision for other people, but why would you make that decision for yourself? The wild animal, a raccoon, who's just living in the woods, in the middle of fucking nowhere. No kids, no little raccoon babies, just living a solitary life, eating fucking cheeseburgers out of the garbage, right? Just eating rancid meat, whatever the fuck they do. That animal cleans its ass because it wants to be clean. In some way, shape, or form. And these humans that are living on this boat in this fucking
Tight quarters.
Yeah, tight quarters. And they don't want to do this.
They did not
to
want
make
to
a
do it.
point. About rules?
Because
I'm looking for a reason here, and I want someone to give it to me.
It's just another chapter in that story about their life.
Oh my God!
If anybody wrote a
The
book
level of
about your
disdain
life,
that I have
would they
for
read
both of you.
Would they read the chapter where you didn't take a shower for a month because
I
you were
guess
on a
that's
boat?
why it's like a weird Bukowski kind of thing.
And it's like, you're a guy too. You fucking stink after like a day.
I just can't fathom not like this, at this point. It's basically that you desire to be unclean.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's essentially
in the most basic of ways. I'm not asking you to fucking take a loofah and scrub yourself down, but just
Well, like
a
stuff
little.
happens to your body if you don't clean yourself.
yeah,
You
yeah.
start growing shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to. I find myself shocked that I have to describe that it's important. Please, for our listeners, clean yourselves.
Yes.
Clean, and use a garbage can. Just put your garbage in the garbage can, people.
And so that's also, it's not just a men thing too. Women, there were some
That's
women
even
in the
worse.
Navy,
I don't even
yeah.
want to talk about that. Let's not even address that. That's just a.
As somebody who had to clean a female bathroom head in the Navy, I could tell you they were some pretty nasty ass bitches then. There too.
Don't you just
Women's
drop that
rooms are
part off on the
always
side of the ship?
way worse.
It's like a funeral.
Say that again?
You put the flag over the bathroom itself, and then you just push it out the side of the ship. It's like a compartment, and you leave it at sea.
Yeah, you shoot flaming arrows at it, and
Yeah, that's a Viking thing.
It's
Yeah.
actually pretty funny. That's actually how you put out a magnesium fire in the Navy.
I was hoping you would have said that's what you did. I was going to be like, wow.
Moses, what you were saying before?
Something about flaming arrows.
that was we're just burying that trash. Respectfully, I mean.
Yeah, well, of course.
Thank you for your service, bathroom.
Playing taps.
Oh, people are savages, man.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was
Oh, that's what women's bathrooms are always way worse.
You were a
than
janitor once,
Yeah,
right?
it's disgusting. Fucking these teenage girls, they fucking use their tampons to just splatter across the wall. It's so
Why?
I don't know.
I feel
don't
like
know.
I'm so like out of the loop on like the
It's
like
so
I want to
fucking
know
gross.
why.
Why put it in the trash can? Or one of those
Because
receptacles
why,
they have.
is that a real question?
Why?
Should I answer that? Is that a real thing?
Nobody seems to think of using it, so
I forgot you were a
God.
janitor.
I am
Holy
so-
shit.
you would have
Oh
to, like,
yeah, can't you
get a-
picture him as a janitor? Too? He's got his mop bucket.
bashing rats.
Absolutely. He's just Charlie Day.
I can picture him being Charlie from that one episode when he was the janitor in the high school.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, keep those grades
Honestly,
up, up, up,
the,
up.
yeah, the way that Moses talks sometimes,
is
it
a
really
jungle
reminds
out?
me of that scene where they're talking to him about like killing rats, and he's just like, sometimes like I don't know what's the difference between us and the rats, but we're not rats, and you have to like have that conversation.
Our lives mean a lot more than theirs, actually.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there we are. Well, I'm effectively crying right now from the laughter, so that's difficult. That's the thing I'm working through. There's tears of joy.
Yeah.
There's tears of sorrow that people don't know how to clean themselves and are apparently shitting themselves on Navy ships, and this is who's defending this country.
Anywhere's your toilet if you're brave enough.
and sadly, sometimes that's what people think in the city of New York, too.
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely true. You know what? It sounds like I'm surrounded by shit. That's what I've gathered from this conversation.
You
It's
know
very
what's
enlightening.
funny? Dan, like you were talking, like people not cleaning themselves. So, like at the job I work at now, bastard child government agency, some of these guys don't wash their uniforms, and they've had the same uniforms. Like literally, I feel like they just step out of it, and the uniform stays standing up by itself.
It's like Iron Man.
Yeah, it's like black, like just off-color, brown, green. There's like moss growing on them.
It's one thing to not wash your jeans every once in a while. It's-
jeans are whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I clean them sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the right thing to do.
And like our job's a fairly dirty job. Like the uniform's kind of like a smock type thing, you know. It's good thing you don't have to wear like your regular fucking clothes.
Yeah.
Shit's fucking dirty. But yeah, it's just absolutely disgusting. And like I don't feel like they've ever washed their uniforms. Completely changed color.
Yeah, they're like tinged dirt. Like it's
Yeah.
it's like an indescribable color.
Yeah. Oh god, Nick, damn it. Why are you guys? I'm getting all these memories of horrible shit. At my current job, I spent some time as a union representative. I had to go in with management to talk to one of my coworkers because of his hygiene issues.
Imagine, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But once again, I find myself so lost in that this is a conversation that has to be had with another human being. No one in this room has ever had to talk to a raccoon in the woods about their hygiene. And yet this is a thing you had to do.
Very similar. I've had to have this conversation with someone before, too. Where it's like, dude, wash your ass.
Myself and a management representative had to go in, have a meeting with this guy in closed spaces, which was horrific.
You're feeling the very thing you're there to talk about.
Well, I mean, this kid, he was probably like 4 bills, like 400 pounds. Obviously did not shower. And like, you would clear out the office.
Oh,
like, legit clear out the office. So, like, I met with the management representative. And, like, we're looking at each other. It's like, what do we fucking do? Like, what's an effective way to get this person to realize, like, you have to shower and you have to use deodorant?
And,
like,
you can't make someone, if somebody hasn't realized that on their own, that's the other part of it. It's that, isn't that a lost cause? Like, that should be innate.
Yeah.
Like, it should just be natural to you that, yeah, sure, like, sometimes you're dirty, but you, at some point, would like to be clean again. That's so it's almost like teaching somebody they have to eat. You know, like if they didn't figure it out, what are you going to tell them that they didn't already know?
We had to run through our handbooks and manuals trying to find any sort of language. It's like, listen, you lose your job.
On cleaning.
They never covered this.
It's like, and like, there was like nothing saying like, you know, clean your ass.
Yeah.
But it's like,
apparently it needs to be.
We found something. It's like your uniform must be maintained in a neat, proper way. This kind of sort of thing. And it's like, eventually, we're just like, you have to clean yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like the only thing
you're walking through sewage to get here?
The only thing you could do at that time is just put them down. Just take them behind the shed, put a bullet in their head, and they're taken care of.
Yeah.
Nobody has to worry
That's
again.
the only reason that we keep the chemical shed.
That's why we have patchouli.
Yeah, it's wild. And, like, I totally forgot about that until, like, just now. Better or for worse. And it's like, and the kid just didn't get it. He's like, I do. And it's like, clearly you don't.
Clearly you
do
don't.
it better.
And not for nothing, he said 400 pounds?
Yeah.
Jesus.
You can't be getting all of that.
Yeah.
How are you doing any work?
He didn't last long.
Yeah. How are you doing any work at that? That's insane. It's one thing to be overweight, but Jesus Christ, that's several people. That's 3
it's
people.
It's not like my job is a sedentary job. You're doing shit all
You're moving
day.
around, yeah.
And it's like...
Yeah, you're not sitting at a desk.
No.
Yeah.
And like, you look, like his ankles are like collapsed in and shit like that. You can tell he's always been like a big person.
Yeah, that doesn't just happen
stop
to you.
taking care of yourself, I guess.
My God. No, straight out. Suicide for me. Both if I was that and from hearing this.
Right.
Yeah.
On a similar note, one of my sisters, her old job, she literally had to go into the office where she would like check the cameras because she was working security and clean the chair that she had to sit in because her boss reeked of piss.
Wow.
And so if she sat in the chair, then she would smell like his piss.
Oh my God.
Wow.
You down with OPP?
Yeah. And I had to hear about it a lot.
Wow.
That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
People I know
this is an obvious question, but so the person was pissing themselves.
Yeah.
Presumably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sir, it looks like you had a slow leak there.
Yeah. What is happening? What is happening? What are these people doing?
You gotta watch the cameras, man.
Yeah. I go outside and do fucking yard work, and I'm like sweating up a storm, and I feel the need to go and take a shower before I run into you guys. Right. And we're all pieces of shit.
Yeah.
It's a big proponent of why I don't bother to do things outside.
When I'm hoofing it from my job to, the transportation hub, first of all, it's summer. Second of all, it's humid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sweating just walking those few blocks. And I'm like, I'm taking a shower immediatly. First of all, to get the stink of the city off of me. That was regardless.
That's a minimum right there.
That's because you slipped in shit.
Homeless shit.
I need more of those, like, cones and wet floor.
Set him up all around his house.
People.
Yeah.
So, clean your asses, folks.
Yeah, wash yourselves.
Please.
Wash yourselves.
Yeah, it's slippery when wet.
Maintain some sort of hygiene for your fellow man.
Yeah, it's not about you. It's about everyone else around you.
It's a little bit about you. You should do this on your own.
Even if you don't give it, because there's a shocking amount of people. It's like, well, I don't give a shit, and it's like it doesn't affect anybody else. It does affect other people, at least.
It
Like,
smells an awful lot like you gave a shit.
It's all over you.
and with soap and water.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
don't just.
just sprinkle some water on yourself.
Again, things that I thought never needed to be said to anyone, but here we are doing a podcast about it.
We're doing a PSA about hygiene.
Well, for Labor Day, I guess those people just thought it was laborious to frickin' take a shower.
Well, you know what? Maybe that 1% is better. Elon Musk is getting scrubbed down right now by a couple of us.
Elon Musk even takes showers after he's done renaming Twitter into something stupid.
That's true, yeah. There's 3 people working 2 different push brooms on him.
I just figured he slept in a Bacta tank.
What is that?
Oh, it's what Boba Fett sleeps into.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, nice.
He just lays in like the milk from Wanted. Or the, what was it? Was it milk?
It was wax.
Wax.
Wow. I'm so confused.
Even if it's not soap and water, like a rag on a stick for you 400-pound motherfuckers. Something. Anything.
Yeah.
Just so we don't have to fucking smell
Any
you.
level of cleanliness.
Yeah. Because going into Manhattan these days for me, it's a combination of BO and weed. And it's not good weed, where it actually might smell nice. It's skunk weed, so it's just an awful fragrance. So.
I'll tell, if I may, Dan.
Yes.
Real quick story. You just reminded me of this. I went to the Walmart in this town just the other day, and when I got out of my truck, I was speaking to my mother on the phone, and I get out of the vehicle, and it smelled in this parking lot, I parked on the side of the building, and it smelled like somebody had eaten a shit sandwich and vomited it up. It was the worst smell that I've ever smelled in my entire life, and I'm talking to my mom, so I kept it together. Thank God she was in the middle of telling me about her day, so I didn't have to speak, because it was like gag-worthy. And I just figured it's right where I parked. Somebody vomited up their shit sandwich, and that's okay. So I walked a bit, and I got like 20 feet, and it was getting worse. So I was like, in this moment, and I was there to get like a filter for my truck.
Right.
And I was thinking about this for days. Like I was putting it off because like I've needed an oil change for a minute, and I like was loathing going to Walmart for reasons like this. But I was like, it's cheaper. I'm going to save like $2-3, you know. And as soon as the door opened, I like immediately regretted my bad choices in life. And so I'm just like walking, and the smell's getting worse and worse and worse. And I had it was easily 200 feet to get to the front of the building, and the smell continued. And I finally get in there, and the smell dissipated, and all of my fears. Now we get away from the smell story, which is obviously what we focus on. Yeah. Because that was brutal by itself. And I felt this like relief that I was like, now I'm just in the building. The smell is gone. And I'm just going to buy the oil and the filter that I need for my truck. I'm going to be in and out. No big deal. And as I walk into the building, I get past like their fucking, 90-year-old receipt checker or whatever the fuck that person does. And I have my sunglasses on. It's fucking 9 a.m. And I just want this whole circumstance to be over. And the first thing that I see, and I had to pause for it because it was actually like a violent scenario. There is a person who had I'm going to word it appropriately. There was a person who was maybe 15 to 40 years old with a mental handicap of some sort.
Okay.
I cannot describe the exact age of the person because of these other circumstances. They were flipping over clothing racks.
Oh.
Yeah, just like right there at the front of the Walmart. I paused in that spot because of the fear, because of the all of the things that were going through my mind in that moment. And I was observing it happening, and part of the thought, I would say 50% was dedicated to like my own safety. Like, should I leave the building? Should I go to another spot? But I'm like already so committed. And the other 50% was me yelling at me because I chose to go to Walmart to save $2 or $3, and I could have just gone to like a fucking AutoZone or wherever. But I'm so so fucking cheap that I find myself in this difficult scenario. And while I'm like going through this thought process in my mind, he flips over to like his fifth rack and then he stops everything he's doing and he looks right at me. Like he can see through my reflective sunglasses, which I was wearing because I was in Walmart. So I was so prepared, yeah. And he stares like right into my fucking soul and I'm like, I am so fucking upset right now. I just didn't know what to do. And I practically ran like a toddler to the automotive section and grabbed my shit and like went through the checkout and I immediately called my mother back and described this terrible scenario to her, once again like a toddler, where I just needed to tell her about this traumatizing situation. Yeah, and I'm just like talking to her and she's like, it's okay, you're out of there. And I'm like, I know, but it's so upsetting. Anyways, that's my little side story.
Nice.
Well, I guess we can run like a bunch of toddlers away from this podcast.
Yes.
So be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. Check us out on YouTube and Rumble. Don't miss out on those shorts. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can also follow us on social media. We are at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you enjoyed this podcast, then become a Loud and Drunk supporter at loudanddrunk.locals.com and patreon.com/loud and drunk. Moses, you have any closing thoughts about labor, shit, women's bathrooms? Like, send us out.
Happy Labor Day to the new line of Walmart product flippers. They're doing God's work.
Amen.
Justin, sir, closing thoughts.
I'm disgusted.
Mr. Tamzarian, closing thoughts.
Clean yourselves every day when you get home after a hard day's work. Just wash yourself, even a little bit. Every little bit means something to another human being on this planet. With your small donation of a minimal amount of showering, you can really make a difference in someone else's life.
Do people not think it's like therapeutic, by the way? Like just to like take a shower.
I love
after
taking a shower.
Yeah.
It's my highlight of the day.
Yeah.
I spend like a shocking amount of time in there just like thinking, trying to like wash Walmart away from me. Just like,
so, for Moses, Justin, Mr. Tamzarian, I am producer Dan. Enjoy your weekend of college football. God knows I will. Thank you for joining us. And until next time, this is Loud and Drunk.
woo!
Happy Labor Day.